So if you have any inflammation in your digestive tract, whether it's in the stomach, the small intestine, or the large intestine, you are going to be very glad you watched this video because I'm going to show you a very simple, inexpensive remedy that virtually has zero side effects that you can use for gastritis, irritation to your esophagus, ulcers, and you can also use this for like a hernia. And if you have diverticulitis or colitis or ulcerative colitis or even Crohn's, any inflammation in your digestive tract, you should try this remedy. You know, if you look at the current method of treating these conditions, one of the things they do is they use an antibiotic. Antibiotics have been touted as the most incredible discovery of this century, right? Well, if that's true, they definitely have created a lot of problems for us. And a lot of people take antibiotics. I mean, each year it's like 73 billion antibiotics are prescribed. I mean, if you do the math, I think this comes out to, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's like 9 or 10 antibiotics for every man, woman, and child on this planet. That's a lot of antibiotics. And the problem with antibiotics is that they may kill a good percentage of friendly bacteria in your gut. But what about those bacteria that survive, right? You ever hear the expression, what won't kill you will make you stronger? Well, that's exactly what happens when you take antibiotics. The microbes that survive become super bugs, okay? They can then release what is technically called a can of whoop ass on your body. They can create all sorts of problems because the relationship initially was friendly. Now that relationship is not too friendly, okay? Some of these microbes that did not create a problem become more pathogenic in the relationship, like E. coli and Salmonella, H. pylori, Candida, which at one time, lived in peace with your system, but now they're very antagonistic and they can create all sorts of inflammation in your digestive system. I mean, the same thing goes with even cancer. When someone takes chemotherapy, does it kill all the cancer cells? Maybe it does, but usually it doesn't. Usually there's a small percentage left. And that percentage, whether it's 5%, 1% that's left, changes, okay? It becomes stronger and it can come back and be very resistant to any treatment. I mean, you can use a stronger chemotherapy to kill it off, but don't you have also the immune system that's susceptible to the same chemicals? And now, what are you going to do without your defenses? And this is the same problem that occurs between countries, right? If you start using nuclear bombs, that's going to indirectly affect you. So what I'm going to show you is something natural that you can use that virtually has no side effects. It's not going to sterilize your body like they do with all sorts of pasteurized food. It's not going to diminish the number of microbes. It's not going to change the relationship of your microbes to something unfriendly. It's going to help this relationship become stronger. And this remedy actually is cabbage juice. Highly researched. I found studies all over the world on this, and I'll put some links down below. Depending on how severe your inflammation is, like if it's a minor problem, just take 1 cup a day. If it's a major problem, take like a quart, which is 4 cups, or for those people in Europe, a liter. But cabbage juice is very, very interesting. I've talked about this in the past of just eating cabbage for anything related to digestive problems. Out of all the vegetables that people seem to tolerate when they have gastritis or digestive problems, cabbage seems to be the one that they can tolerate the best. Well, I think I know why. Because it has 4 interesting factors that can help the GI tract. Number 1, it has something called vitamin U. It helps increase the speed at which you can heal these ulcers or lesions in your GI tract. It protects the mucus layer in your entire digestive system. It also has anti-erosion factors. So anything that is like inflamed, irritated, or destroyed, okay? And they even use this now topically on your skin. And apparently it's also good for depression as well. But this vitamin U is also in other things too, like wheatgrass juice. Apparently it's in butter, it's in raw milk, and it's in animal fat, which is interesting because if you're on the carnivore diet and you're consuming a good portion of animal fat, that seems to help inflammation in your gut. But of course, pasteurized milk will probably make things worse because it's sterilized milk, but raw milk apparently has something in it that can help inflammation in your gut. Now, that's just one thing in cabbage. There's something else. It's called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is also in other things too, like broccoli sprouts, Brussels sprouts. It's in other cruciferous vegetables like cauliflower and kale, and it's also in watercress. But sulforaphane is also good for ulcers that are caused from H. pylori. And it's one of the most important triggers for this other compound called NRF2, which you don't need to know the full name. You just need to know that it helps to detoxify the body. It helps as an anti-inflammatory. It's a very potent antioxidant, helps modulate or regulate an overactive immune system. So it tends to suppress inflammation without lowering the ability for your immune system to fight things off. And cabbage is loaded with vitamin C. I did a video on this talking about leaky gut. And leaky gut really is kind of a subclinical version of scurvy. Because if you think about scurvy in other parts of your body, like your gums, you have bleeding gums. And what's happening is it's affecting the collagen or the connective tissue. If there's like holes in this area and the things don't join tightly, like especially in the gut, then you start getting a leaking situation or holes in your gut or your teeth, and you see like a bleeding gums. So whatever happens in the gums can happen in your colon, okay? And then you start having particles get through there, and then your immune system reacts to that, and we start having all sorts of inflammatory issues. It just so happens that cabbage is loaded with vitamin C. And cabbage juice has one more thing, which is pretty cool. L-glutamine. Now, what is L-glutamine? Well, L-glutamine is a very common remedy for inflammation in your gut. It's also good for a leaky gut situation, and anything related to inflammation in the colon, L-glutamine can help you. And L-glutamine also can do other things too. It can help reduce ammonia. Now, if you think about just H. pylori, and if it's going to create an ulcer, it will, as a strategy, create more ammonia to raise the pH of the stomach so it can survive better. Those four things are very potent in cabbage juice. And what you want to do is you want to take fresh, raw, organic cabbage juice. It can be either green or red cabbage. You juice it fresh and you drink it down. Extremely effective based on the studies I'll put down below. Virtually no side effects. I mean, honestly, it's really the ideal situation where you have this great remedy, which is totally inexpensive. Anyone can do it. You do need a juicer, okay? But other than that, it's, I think, the ideal solution. Now, that's the solution, but it's also important to understand what originally created this inflammation, and then also data on what to eat and what foods to avoid going in the future to support the microbiome, because we want this very diverse, plentiful microbiome to support your digestive system. And we want to know the foods that are best for this. So for that video, you should watch this right here.